This is day 73 of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor a future share or more, please contact me directly. We have here in Mem Gimel Siv Yud through Mem Dal Siv Gimel. If they are inside your clothing and you have a belt, or the big dough other, or in your garment in your hand, mutar ben lashim and you're allowed to urinate or defecate. Klomar, I mean, basically could say a right. So we're in talking about a temporary bathroom, in other words, an ad hoc one. There's no problem that you might have to wipe off drops, and they're inside the clothing. You shouldn't touch them with your hands. And now she wrote that your garment is your hands. That even if you do have to move drops and touch, you're still going to touch the beggar, not the tefillin. That's okay. Because of the osrafin tofi, so it's not like you wrote previously, where you're holding them in your garment that it's also. The b'sham kavan also. There it's about the tofs and big dough. You're holding on to them, but they're open, and you might touch them since they are open. But here they're wrapped in your garment, so you're not going to touch them. So even though it's biyado, it's okay. If you are not able to touch them because they're wrapped all around, so there's no problem. Nitzotzos, and the Ben Mishnah Berurah says, therefore it works even in a base kisei kavua, because what's going to be the issue? You're not going to touch them, and it's just because the kanai being the base kisei kavua, they're completely covered. Okay, in brackets he says here, I'm looking at they wrote this shorting. I'm looking at Pirshik Shrimbiyoda. Magen says that they're big though. They're tied in their beggar. And the Taran says holds that they're under your garment and you're holding your garment in your hand. Ayin Sham. Mr. Berurah writes, the Bia Grua writes that this is in the Baal Trumos, and it argues on Sif Aleph. And this holds big Biyado. If it's big Biyado, there's no problem of wiping off the drops. And if they're tied in your garment, everybody else is mutter. And it's not the same reconciliation as your Arukh HaShulchan. That big back there was where it's open. It's just you're holding through the baggage, and that big over here is that it's closed. Bishop Berurah doesn't go with that. In any event, if it's the Arukh HaShulchan asks on the Taz, says the tefillin are under your garment and you hold with your hand on your garment. Why not afraid that you're going to remove your hand? They're going to fall. You're not going to have to move your hand because you're not going to have to wipe because there are not going to be any tzotzos. And if you do, in case of bita biyado, you have the capacity because you're holding a cloth here to use that to wipe. Sorry. Even if you do, you're not going to touch the tefillin directly with your hand. You're not going to be in the beggar's wipe. Beggar's wrapped around the tefillin. Sorry about that. You have okasab b'sifei. Okasab b'sifei. Imrot tzali basically kafur lasot. If you will need to go into a permanent bathroom to defecate, you take them off 4 amos away, go on and wrap them in the rituals. You hold them in your right hand and in your garment. Keneged libo. And the ritual should not extend from underneath his arm for a tefach. And we come out, you go 4 amos away and put them back on. That's what Rambam which you brought and we saw yesterday. With that, you should know that Mashu Kasab, the Kshanichas, the Beisakis, and Kavua, Lassus Brotzachov, that which you writes that when you're going to the permanent bathroom to defecate. You take them off 4 amos away, because Rabbi Ramah, they show me a few below. Some people say even if you're not going to defecate, you're going to a Beisakis, Kavua, and it's degrading, you should take them off a distance of 4 amos. With Tov Lachmir, Akan Shono, it's best to be Machmir. Nearly there, go on Kniso. So he says, you know what? This is not about going in. The Bezel Lincoln on the poly, also Lincoln's filling base of Kisa Americans are not allowed to go in with filling to a bathroom or to a bathhouse. Lo Shad was Tov Lahachmir. You can't say Tov Lahachmir, it's Isser Garmahu. Right? That's prohibited, and it has to be wrapped up You can't have open tefillin in there. So what he's going to say is that doing it 4 amos away, that is a nice chumrah, even if you're not going to defecate inside. This is some question Magen Avraham goes well. Why do you hold them right hand? Mishum is small, so because the left hand where he's defecating, and the left hand he needs in order to wipe himself. As the Mishnah Berurah says, and the Magen Avraham says, Medina, it's also to go into a bathroom with tefillin, and it's no worse than a bathhouse. But the Pri Megadim Mordechai wrote that some Rishonim say, oh, not like Magen Avraham. But Aloha brings from the Ramam Mifano that it indicates that if you're passing through a bathroom, that's just a passing through, not stopping, then you're allowed to pass even with tefillin on your head, which would be a significant kula. I don't think we pass in that way, but most of the bathrooms are not used as shortcuts anyway. Yud Beis. You can go wearing tefillin into alleyways which are dirty, disgusting. Even though there is an actual explicit, so to speak, spot which is disgusting. Magen Avraham suggests that when you go in these alleyways, you should either leave the tefillin and shul or in your house. Sorry. When you go to these alleyways, you should not wear. In other words, you're on your way to shul from your house. Don't put in tefillin in your house and walk through the alleyway. Put in your tefillin in shul after you've gone through the alleyway, or put them on the house and cover them when you come to the mevos mitunapos, the disgusting passages. But Arukh HaShulchan brings down really just the shita that it is permissible. It's best if you can cover them with a hat. The Mishnah brings to the Rabbaz that Medina you have to cover your tefillin in these disgusting places, and if you can't cover them, better to not put them on shul, better to put them on at home. Arukh HaShulchan is clearly more lenient than that. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, if you want to take them off, put it back on. Shapir Dami, that's okay, and that's Magen Avraham name of the Ramam Mifano, but according to Arukh HaShulchan, it's optional, not mandatory. Even though you're causing yourself an extra bracha, you come here to if you want to do it, Shapir Dami. If you're only directly derech sham mutar, it's only person to go by, but you must walk continuously through. Avalama b'shem b'sham also, but to stand there is forbidden. Okay, he brings in brackets here. Brings Magen Avraham's right, and he rejects it. Your gimel. Klatem she's bar but film the base of he say all these heterim which we mentioned in terms of the tefillin. That's when you want to go back and put them on afterwards. But you weren't tefillin at night. I was near nighttime. There's not going to be time to put them on again after you leave the bathroom. You need to go to defecate. Like as the base like say, after them gloom beyond, they shouldn't even go into the shul in the bathroom when they're wrapped in your hand. Bevito. I feel like gloom they're wrapped in a beggar. I feel ashkin mime yushov, and even to urinate sitting down. When there's no issue of drops. Okay, it's a yasa when you do chotzon, you take them off. And you put it into a vessel. If it has a tefach, which is a kind of like an interruption between the tefillin and the outside world, or a vessel which is not their normal vessel, even though it doesn't have a tefach gap. And you hold the vessel in your hand, and you go in. When it's true, it's out in the fields. But Beis HaKisei in the house, don't bring the tefillin in at all, even if they're wrapped up, even if they're not in their own kiss. The Mishnah Berurah says that it's a shekel, that if they are in their kiss and you put them into your pocket, that kiss is not their kelyon. Your pocket is not the keli, so that's kli b'to kli, and it's permissible. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. Okay, but if you can leave, since you can leave them in your own house in a place that will be safe kept, we don't let you go wear them inside or even hold them in a garment inside. Can't over so to travels, Lam Lanicham and Malcolm Mishumar Allah Golov, they can put him on in a safe place on the wagon, or you can give him to his friend, Bimaka Loyersin Klal Beis Akise. That you should, well, here Lanicha means to not to put them on, but to put them down. So if you have a place to put them down, in place which is safeguard on the wagon, or to give it to your friend, Loyersin Klal Beis Akise, should not bring them all into the bathroom. Because of amulets which have aspects of Holy Writ inside them, you can't even wear them inside the bathroom. Or unless they're covered with leather, which is obviously an interruption. Mishabur writes that other Sfarim and writings that have Shemos, if they are in your pocket, you're allowed to bring them in. Some people say you need a pocket within a pocket in order to go into a bathroom. So it seems like he's Mako, but with others for him, and that's a chumrah to do kiss b'soch kiss. Okay. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. You should not hold the sefer Torah in your arm and go into the bathroom. Even though it's wrapped in a wrapping, kind of shono. Put tefillin on the ground has to be in a keli which has a halal, a bacon space of a tefach. So that's chashiv. Oh well, because that makes it, even though the interruption is on top of the tefillin and you're putting it down on the ground, but it's called then an oel since it has an opening of a tefach to interrupt between itself and the ground. The Vir Halachim is on the Mogen Avram, name of Rashi, that if the keli was a tefach, it's considered to be an OL to the rub between itself and the ground, and you'll have to put them down there. You'll have to put them in your house. When you're in your house on the ground, if it's a keli which is not their keli, even if it's less than a tefach. Okay, I'm not sure why specifically in your house. You doubt. Oh no, not do that again. Yeah. This is what you thought. Okay. Well, I'm not sure in Arukh HaShulchan, but I think I did. Again, because then it's an OL. You're down. You forgot to left on your head and you were defecated. Or urinated. You put your hand on them until the first burst comes out. You say till you go out, go take them off. You come back and finish attending your needs. The Amud HaChozer, because if that first burst went back, was reabsorbed backwards, maybe the chokin brings you to some sort of ailment. The Silon Shemer Aglaim HaChozer, and the jet stream of urine coming out and then goes back, the Yerakum gives you a different ailment. A doctor can take a jug full of urine in his hand as long as it's even with it's on his head. I guess because he needs the urine for analysis. The Baal Nefesh should be machmir. Yeah, the Mishpur says you're taking in order to check the cholera. But and even if a person is not a professional doctor, but he's using it for that purpose, he's allowed to carry it. Again, mutar rofi kach bitchemer aglayim bezar chshon biyado to imbarosho bal nevesh yachmir atzmo. A person who's bal nevesh should be machmir. The dai show the komash yisbar ein nachol lashkim betfilin afilu b'shal yad. For everything we see until now, you should understand by now. It's not right to urinate, even urinating for it, even with just the shal yad. The kfi ma should be arno is a chiluk ben shal yad b'shal rosh, because based on that we distinguish between the Shayat and Sharosh. Ofima should be Arno B'das Rambam, according to which she explained the Rambam, and Chiluk Ben Doyin L'Ktalim. According to the Rambam, there's no difference between defecating and urinating. With Levad Yesh, lads that besides that, a new Cheshbon, Yesh Chil Hashem Yipnei Ha'amon. There's a Chil Hashem in front of the masses, degrading the tefillin. Mishos Achein Nochom Ligarbo. Somebody urinates and defecates in with his tefillin on. it's appropriate to rebuke it. Siman Mem Dalet. And today we're supposed to do all of Siman Mem Dalet, which is three sleeping. Okay, the prohibition to sleep in tefillin. Isser shein b'tefillin. Allah, kem shetefillin tzukim guf nakish le'yafiyah b'hem. Since tefillin require a clean body, you should not pass gas in them. V'fichol also l'shaim b'hem. They're not allowed to sleep in them. You shein a karav le'yafiyah. Because when you sleep, you're close to passing gas. Because in the Sukkah, Tani Chad, that we learned that one Bryce, Yoshan b'tefillin shein asarai. A person can sleep in tefillin a temporary sleep, like a nap. Avolo shein eskeva, but not a permanent sleep. Tani Rachma ben keva ben arai. Another Bryce says you could sleep in both permanent and temporary. The third Bryce says lo keva v'lo arai, neither permanent nor temporary. Lo kasha, it's not difficult. Lo tani d'gam arai asur. That which it says that also if it's a temporary sleep, it's also zel shok subiyada. That's you're holding in your hand. The chashina were afraid shema yiplum yada, maybe they're going to fall out of your hand. For the tanya the arai mutar v'keva also, that which says that temporary is mutar and permanent is also mimunachim barosho. That's when they're on your head. The barai lo chashin la facha. If it's temporary, we're not afraid you're going to pass gas. With a keva, if it's permanent, chashina, we're afraid you're going to pass gas. But the tanya gam the gam keva mutar, that which is permitted even when it's keva, even when it's a permanent sleep. The paris sudra alayu. It's when they're off your head or arm, and they are. And you put they're sitting there and you put a cloth on top of them. So put them by your head, parsudra, and you wrap them up. That which says in brachas that a person not hold on to tefillin and daven. Should not sleep with them either a regular sleep or a nap. The reason would be because they shouldn't fall from your hands. And it's astonishing that Rashi says that issue is Shema Yafiach because it's not mashed away at all. Base. Avala Rambam Kosav and Perek Dal didn't taste what. Feel Tzichem Gufnaki to have a clean body cooler. Feel Usher Lisham Blend there we can't sleep in them. Lo Shenas Kaba Shenas Sarai not long sleep or short sleep. Elim Miniach Elim Sutar V'lo Yisoi Mo Isha. Only if you put a cloth in them and there's no woman with you, Yashim Shina Sarai, you can sleep a nap. So you're going around so much, you're putting a cloth on the tefillin while it's on you. Okay, so Meniach Rosho Bein Birchav, put your head between your knees, Yoshev, and you're sitting in sleep. So it's uncomfortable, so you're going to wake up relatively soon. But if someone just wrapped on your hand, not on the right place, Mutar Yisham Bohem, you're allowed to sleep in them. Afilu Shenas Keva, even a permanent sleep. Farish Dezeshamu, Parsudra Layu, so according to the cloth which is on top of them, Hachit Brushas means to say, the Munachim Barosho, the sun on your head, the Lo Sudar Asura Afilu Shenas right, and without any covering, it's forbidden even to sleep and temporary sleep. The Chesed Shemish Takeh, because we're afraid he might fall deeply into sleep. Even when he puts his head between his knees. Mishabur brings that the Rishonim will permit temporary sleep, and the Bria Gra sounds like he is going to make on that respect. But according to him, it's only called Shenas Arai, temporary sleep, if it's up to Kedei Hiluch Mea Amo, which is, my time takes 100 Amos, which is not very long. It's less than a minute, I would assume. Bible says even that he only permits if you put your head between your knees. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. If you put a cloth upon them, it's going to be very uncomfortable, and therefore you're going to wake up very shortly. This doesn't make any sense. We ever say without the cloth, we're afraid he's going to forget. Should no say tefillin that he's putting on tefillin, because that's the habituation. There's Suda, which is not normal. He's going to remember not come to pass gas. Okay, muta barai, that's why it's permitted in a nap. Not by longer sleep. The tiny the gam keva mutar. That which it says in a longer sleep it's mutar. Zel shakor kuchim biyado. It's when they're wrapped on your hand. Shalom mokum tefillin. Not in the place of tefillin altogether. Ukruchim b'chozik shleipu. They're very tightly wrapped on your hand, so they won't fall. The lama lo assuming they hesach hadas. Someone will show why didn't they forbid this because of hesach hadas if you're sleeping with your tefillin on your head, it's deviating in your intent, in your focus. Because the time that's because according to the Shita, Esach is only frivolity and laughter. We also explained there the b'shas shein lo shaykh isra esach. When you're sleeping, there's no concept of esach hadas. The end of olam is cloud because we're not in the world at all. Then ayin sham b'chein mash b'levuv alubush ayin sham. The Mishnah Berurah here says the Bir Gra says that only if no wrong Bir Gra the wrong. The Mishnah says that it's a mitzvah now muvchar. It's a special mitzvah to always have in mind the tefillin and not deviate from them, to be drawn and to think bad thoughts. And because of this, you have to touch your tefillin all the time. That you shouldn't get them to distract from them, except when you're actually learning and davening. Then you don't have to pay attention to tefillin at all. Okay. Sif Gimel. Rabbeinu Bay says they take the Ram Mosifalov. Bay says copies Ram and X. The Mosam Biodo Biodo in your hand, Bainam Kruchim Biodo, and now wrapped on your hand. Also Shambam now let's sleep in them at Filu Shane Sarai. Even in this short nap, I can't show For Arukh HaShulchan OC, the Ram doesn't not concern to tell you this because we made the Milsa Pshita. It's obvious. Me'achash because of the Kruchim. Sorry, since he wrote this wrapping and it's permissible, Mele Shmas we the secret derive, Tachizable Kricha, all things that wrapping, Osla Gamre, believe forbidden. Because Chashmas Shash move on Melov, and the main problem is obvious. Shema Yiplu, maybe they'll fall. Kosa Rabbeinu Ramah, the Davkush Oxen below Nartiker. So if you hold them on without their cases. Avo, because the Nartikon, if it's in their cases, on Shari. It's mutter no matter what. Adkan l'shon. Klomar, meaning, the lo chashin shem blue loretz. So they're not afraid they're going to fall in land. Tafil blue, because even they fall, enka isterkan, shem in Nartikon. There's no prohibition to transgress, because they're in their container. Well, sorry. It's not afraid they're going to fall to the ground. If they fall, ain't it's okay. It's no prohibition because they're still in their container. Because Mr. Berurah says here that the world is that this nartik, it's not the tefillin box itself, because it has to be machzik tefach, because there's a chatzitza, an interruption, as we said before. Please, according to this, Gam back to Arukh HaShulchan, Gam Mashinog Olam Kshal Ya Yedei Sibon of the film Al Eretz Misanim. People have a custom when the film falls to the ground too fast. Onosim Al Tzedakah, or they give something to Tzedakah. Kshenaflu Ben Atikon, if they fell in their cases, in Turklum, they doesn't have to pay anything. The Mishnah Berurah says that the world does have the minhag to the world does have the minhag to fast when the film falls from his hand without their cases. And Your Rabbi says that even if they fell with their cases on, you should give a pruta to tzedakah. And Arukh HaShulchan makes the same point. He says, "The piece of Gamashinoga Olam, that which is custom shali, they see one nothing that film of the aretz when there's the cause of till fall on the ground. When we sign in that they fast, no slim malit tzedakah, they give something to tzedakah. Shalom Nartikon ain't circling. When they fell in their case, you don't need to do anything." That's the Magen Avram Sikon Heit. Miyane Mashkosa Sikon Gimel Shir Shenas Arai. I'm astounded that he wrote so Sikon Gimel that the shear of Shenas Arai Al Shulchan Aruch. He brings down that shear of Shita. So Rambam, the Rambam holds that our Arai is not Arai. He holds that Arai is named Birkov. The Birkov have it right. Because the Rambam Paskins like Rabbi Yochanan and Sukkah there, and the Tush have written that, whatever the case may be. The bottom line is, for best not ever to take a nap or to sleep in tefillin.